welcome to another edition of Splat. I'm your host, Chris Slagle, and on this edition of the show, we have from the Indiana Ignite, Adam Lohr. Is that spelled right or said right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's spelt a little funky, but you got it pronounced correct.
Okay. And you were down at the MSXL down in Asylum. What was it, last weekend, right?
Yeah, last Saturday and Sunday it was a 2-day event down there. We had some good weather and great event.
Awesome. So, how long have you been playing paintball, Adam?
Oh man, I think I've got the pretty generic story. I mean, it just started out when I was in seventh, eighth grade. Just a bunch of buddies. I actually had a friend that had a had a cattle farm actually, and we went out there and he had a paintball gun. I'd never seen one before. It's probably the first time I ever seen one. We used to just go out there and fish and ride dirt bikes and things like that. And one of the guys in the group brought one, and man, it was just something that never seen before. It was awesome. We were shooting trees and everything. And then next thing you know, I mean, I had to have one, and I played with those guys, and I switched schools in my freshman year of high school. I moved to a new high school and met up with some other guys that played paintball. Went to a buddy's house, and I show up, and there's probably 10 or 14, 10 and 12, 14 guys there, all freshmen in high school, all my age, and we just played out in the woods, and that's where it all started, was in the woods, and it was a blast. It was just such a fun just get together on the weekends with your buddies, and it was just something different that nobody was doing in my area, and it just had never heard of.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it just takes that one time, and you're pretty well hooked on doing it. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it's something I found out. I mean, I've been in and out of the sport so many different times, just 2 or 3 years here and there, and then take a year or two break just with going through college and the fundings and just the typical things that you go through life and opening and closing different chapters and stuff. And it was just something about paintball. You always come back to it, and it's just the people are always the same. Everybody's so friendly. I go to a paintball field now that I maybe haven't been to in 2 or 3 years, and I always run into somebody that's just a familiar face, and it's just like there's a guy this weekend or last weekend at Asylum, one of my buddies, and he hadn't been around the sport in probably almost 7 or 8 years, and he ran into a couple guys he hadn't seen, and it was just like they just saw each other yesterday. So it's just such a weird community, but it's got that vibe and just its own kind of attraction.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. Like, they're a really big, family-oriented group of guys, and they would do anything and everything for you. It's since I've started playing. I mean, guys that I don't even know, they're eager to, loan me your gun or whatever. I played. What was it? It was a while back I was playing, and a friend of mine who plays up in Pennsylvania, well, he used to live here, but he moved up to Pennsylvania, and my gun that I was using, it was so cold, it was just busting balls, and it was getting clogged, and all this and that, and he was like, oh, hey, try this gun out. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
It was like autococker, and I think he let me use, I don't know if he had his M2 then or not, but he had something else and he let me use it. I'm like, wow, that's great. I mean, and everybody's like that in the sport. It just seems like everybody you run into is like that. So
Yeah, I'm probably one of the typical guys on a team that never had a gun or always had gun problems, but it's just, there's always one guy that's got a gun in a bag or something somewhere that they'll loan you, and it's like I said, it's a different thing that until you experience it, you just don't know what you're getting into, and then it gets you hooked.
So, which brings me to my next. How'd you get started with the Ignite?
Oh, well, I've played for a long time. I've actually been playing since I think 2007 was the first time I played at a national level at a PSP. I got back into the sport late senior year of high school, so about 18. I met these two brothers out of Evansville, Indiana, called they're Josh and Eric Hoheimer. They'd actually been playing the PSPs for since they were 13, 14 years old. I mean, these two guys from my area they were phenomenal. Their skills and just their speed ball, their tournament skills were just above and beyond anybody around here. But they had a team called JFK, which was just for kids, is what it stood for. So I got on that team, and I played probably 3 or 4 years there in the PSVs traveling. Took a few-year break again, and then Josh kind of got me back into the sport, or back into tournament ball. And I actually ended up playing for Louisville Asylum for one event about 3 years ago. And then my wife and I were expecting our first kid, and I had to put paintball on the back burner for 2015 and 16. And I've always had in the back of my mind, I've just always wanted to coach. I had a chance to kind of coach a Louisville Asylum team for a little while, and it just was something neat, something different that I just had never experienced. And I was just like, you know what, I kind of got behind the 8 ball, which kind of bit me in the butt later on. But just had this idea in December. I was like, I'm going to start a team. Like, I want to coach a team, maybe play with these guys here and there, and just work on teaching, younger players just everything that I've ever learned, and just, start something here in the Midwest or, out of Evansville again. Because there's really nothing tournament paintball wise in the Evansville, Indiana area. So.
That's cool. So how many guys do you have on your team? I think you and I were talking on one day that you were looking for was it D2 or D4 players?
D4 was what I was looking for, because we played D4 Race to 4 in the MSXL. So it's basically like X-Ball in the Division 4. You're only allowed to have 2 Division 3 players, or you can have a Division 2 player, but you get into rankings and points and on people's APPAs, it gets a little confusing. But I was looking for some D4 guys. I've got right now I've got 9 guys on the roster, which is a very, I think, comfortable number. I had a couple guys that I picked up about a month ago that really they brought a lot of different skills and attributes to the team that I think had me very comfortable to go out and compete with 9. And it's a new team. We've got some things we've got to learn. The first event definitely showed us some stuff that we've got to fix quickly if we're going to compete and be competitive in this division, because the competition is very, very, very stiff and very well trained. They got a lot of practice. There's about 4 or 5 teams right now in the Division 4 that are they've got good chemistry, and they're to be reckoned with. Like, they've got some good skills.
I know that I don't know if I did a podcast with the guys from Trade My Gun Outlaws the other day, and they said it was like, I think they've got like 40 or some players on their team across all over the place, and they were saying how they only got like, I think they finished like 7th, I think, in one of them.
Yeah.
Divisions. So it must have been a pretty tight teams down there.
Yeah, there was 30 teams in our division alone, just in D4 Race to 4. There was 30 teams. They actually split it into a 2-day event. Like the MSXL for the past, since its inception in I think 2008, the MSXL has always done, your division competes and finishes all in one day. So your prelims start that morning, and you're done with finals by that afternoon or that evening. But they had so many teams sign up for Division 4 Race to 4, they had to split it into a 2-day event. And I actually just listened to that Trade My Gun podcast today, and that was pretty cool getting to hear from a couple of the pro players showing just the involvement in that organization up there. I know that like Louisville Asylum, the Asylum semi-pro team plays against them on practice dates right before their NXL events, and that's really cool to just see that they're involved with the lower divisions, because I think that's really something that's needed. You get down in Division D3, Division 4, that's really awesome to see pro guys getting involved.
Oh yeah, for sure. So how do you think your team played down there over that weekend?
Competitive. I think we were right there. The first couple matches that we played, the first match we did lose the struggle, 4-0. We got blanked, but we had a couple points in that match that we we were right there. We were, 4-on-4 or 3-on-3, and we just didn't make the right move at the right time or apply the pressure on the field where we needed to apply it. But that was to be expected. Struggle is a very well-ran organization. They're definitely competitive. They finished in I think the top 4 the last 2 events in our division. I was impressed. I mean, we came out the first two matches and did pretty well, and then the last 2 matches we tied 3-3, and then we finished out the day with a 4-1 win. So as the day went on, we progressed. We found some small things that we had to fix, which was to be expected. Is the very first tournament. We've only had about maybe 3 practices total as a team, and I actually had to play this event a little bit. One of the guys on my team the week before had some work stuff come up, and he couldn't make it last minute. So, I got out there and play a little bit, which definitely rusty, and I think I've put on some weight. And but yeah, we're going in the right direction. And I think with some more practice and more time and just basically chemistry is something I think that it takes time. You're not going to teach it. It's something that has to just be earned and learned out on the field together as a group. So when we get the chemistry.
Yeah, I was going to say it's that you get that down and you pretty well mesh together then, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just a weird thing that, you really can't explain until you get around a group of guys you play with for, a few years, and it just everyone starts thinking in the same direction when you're playing games, and things become a lot easier. So
what kind of strategy did you guys use? Was it, did you guys have somebody in the back that just kind of, I guess the term would be, I guess they're long balling and they're trying to, get the.
We came out swinging. We went real aggressive. The first, actually, probably almost all of our matches. I wanted to push these guys and see what they would do, and we came out really we'd send 2 guys up pretty far. We would break 2 guys off for the break, just running for real far up the field bunkers, and then we'd put 3 guys in the back, just shooting a lot of paint, and it seemed to work. This was a real weird layout, the way the bunkers were placed. There was no real set play that any team, I don't think, could do, match after match or point after point that was really successful. It really just a real weird layout. Like I wasn't really a fan of it, but it kind of helped us a little bit because we could come out and try whatever we really wanted to try, and it kind of felt like we were getting away with a lot of stuff. But we came out aggressive. We played aggressive, I think, most of the day. And it worked in our favor. But saw a lot of teams that played more reserve, and it worked. But it was just, I guess, no side of the field was really dominant. Snake side wasn't dominant. The Dorito side wasn't dominant. It was just every single game kind of played out a little different.
Very cool. Very cool. So, who was the it team to beat down there this year, and who took the win?
Well, Phenomenon won it, which Phenomenon's won. They won the event down in Georgia, and then they've won this event. So they've won events back to back, and they actually won they won another event back in January, an indoor event over in Missouri. That was a pretty good competitive event. So they're the team to beat. Them, and I would say the struggle bus team. I don't know what they necessarily go by, but I'd say those are your top 2 teams. And there's another one, Paint King. They're they're associated with Graffiti, which Graffiti plays up in Division 3 in the MSXL. But I'd say those 3 teams there, you got Phenomenon, Struggle, and Paint King are probably looking like 3 of the teams that I saw that are going to be forces to be reckoned with the rest of the year.
So who are some of the players that are on your team?
We've got a good mix. I've got a couple guys over from Southern Illinois. I've got Wes and Dylan, and then I've got 2 guys out of Tennessee, Adam Vanderboss and Nick Evitz, and then I've got 3 or 4 guys out of Evansville, and then I got 1 guy out of Kentucky. So we're kind of all within about 3 hours of each other. We've all come from, I guess, well, Zach, he just got out of the military last year. He's played just a little bit. He played with me way back in the day. You got Nick and Adam that played together out of Tennessee. They've been playing together, I guess, for a real long time. So same with Wes and Dylan, and then we got Kyle Miller and Anthony. So just real kind of diverse group. They've all come from different ranges of experience and backgrounds, whether they've been playing together as, kind of two or three groups of guys that have been playing together for a while, or like I said, I got a couple guys that haven't played in 3 or 4 years. I got my one friend Matt that hasn't played in probably 6 or 7 years, but he's going to get back into the sport this year, and I think that everybody on the team's just real level-headed, and everything's kind of meshing real well right now.
That's cool. And you're based out of is it Newball, Indiana? Or
Newburgh.
Newburgh?
Yeah, Evansville. Yeah, Newburgh's just about. It's basically just to the east of Evansville. But yeah, I'm from Newburgh originally. That's where I live now. But yeah. So I guess I'm kind of the center hub, and then everybody else is within about 2.5, 3 hours of me, either north, south, east, west. So.
Very cool. Very cool. So, what's the next stop for the Ignite?
The next event we have will be the Nashville MSXL, which is coming up in May. I believe it's the 20th and then the 21st. We've got probably a couple practices that we'll do. We'll definitely Paintball Asylum over in Louisville is our home field, so we'll do one practice over there, and then I'm kind of thinking about trying to get a hold of that Phenomenon team. They're out of St. Louis. They're not far from us. In my eyes, if we're gonna be competitive and beat the best team in our division, I think we should try and go practice them. If they want to have us, I'm gonna contact them and see if they want to get together and maybe do a practice coming up. So I don't know. We'll hit a couple practices here, 2 weeks before the event, and then you got Nashville, which is. Hopefully, I think they're hosting it at the same place as last year. It's a nice park down there. It's a beautiful park, great setup, and the city of Nashville is just fun. It's a great time.
Very cool. So you guys have sponsors and stuff?
Yeah, Paintball Asylum is a sponsor. We've got Dane Hawkins Photography. He's been one of my friends from way back in the day. We've got Valken is another big sponsor, and we shoot their paint, and we're gonna start wearing a bunch of their gear, and that's probably our three major ones that we got right now, that we'll probably carry for the rest of the year.
You guys use now, like I said, I was talking to the guys the other night, and they said that I think their gun of choice was I think was it the CS1, and then they use a level loader. Do you guys use something different, or do you guys use about the same?
Right now it's just a mix. We don't really have, I guess you would say, any type of major gun or hopper sponsorship. My main objective with this team was just keeping it cheap and affordable for everybody to come out and play. If we develop into a bigger organization like what Trade My Gun has, where they've got 2 or 3 different teams that play down in the lower divisions, and we can attract maybe a bigger gun sponsorship or a bigger paint sponsorship or something, then we might get a little more, I guess you could say, brand specific. But right now, we're shooting Valken paint, which it shot amazing over at Asylum last weekend. The stuff was awesome. But
what'd you guys end up shooting?
Valken, I think it's called Valken Pro, is the paint. Yeah, the stuff in, I think it's a yellow box. But man, it just shot like lasers. We didn't have any breakage. We didn't have any, and it was real cold Saturday morning. I mean, we had the afternoon bracket, which we got a little lucky, but I think we started at 11:30 on Saturday, and I mean, it just shot phenomenal for us all day long. I think maybe we had 2 guys maybe say something about a break here or there, but other than that, I mean, the amount of paint that we shot, it was great. So, but I mean, I guess you would say company specific. I wanted to keep it affordable. Cost was my big thing with getting everybody going, because my big thing is I think that you can come out and play in these tournaments and be competitive, and you don't have to get committed to a certain brand or company. You can kind of just shoot what's comfortable for everybody, and what's big thing's affordable.
Right. Yeah, I know they've got I think they've got a couple tournaments actually up. It's probably a bit of a drive, but I know up at I think it's called up in Fort Wayne. It's
Yeah.
completely out of the way, but I know they've got a couple tournaments going on now where they got they're raffling off guns and prizes, and I think they're raffling off like Luxes, or the winners get Luxes, and then the one, I think that's Saturday, and then on Sunday the team gets, I think it is the it's at the Shocker or the RSX or something. I can't remember
Yeah,
the.
I think it's
I
the
have to go look,
Shockers.
but yeah, I know they've got a big. I know they've got a big prize pool up there. Um, so
Yeah,
that's probably out of the way, but
yeah, it's about 6.5 hours, about 6 hours from Evansville for me, but
wow.
yeah.
I
So
know
because
it's
we're in,
3 for us, so yeah, it probably is
yeah,
about 6 for you guys.
yeah. Well, I mean, we used to make actually when Paintball Plex first opened, we the JFK team that I was on, we went up and played a couple tournaments up there. When I mean, it wasn't even. I think they had a tournament there within the first like couple months it was ever open, and it was I haven't been back since, but it's an amazing facility. It's really well ran. I've heard a lot of positive things from up in that area in the last 2 or 3 years. So yeah, but that's awesome. I mean, I think that's something that needs to a lot of your. I think there's not too many local fields that really can draw, I guess, the teams and put on a tournament and be able to give away those kind of prizes. Back in the day, I felt like there was a lot of local tournaments that they would give away 3 guns and hoppers and bags. Like that was what you used to win. But a 3-man tournament, you would have 10, 15 teams there, and nowadays I don't know. We don't really have a local field around here that draws a lot of tournament players. There's a lot of scenario stuff, and just
Yeah.
your weekend rec guys. But we got to go to St. Louis or Louisville is probably the 2 closest locations, or Indianapolis, I guess, would be the 3 closest places we got to go to play speedball
Heavy ball,
tournament.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah. So.
And Evansville doesn't. Nowhere around Evansville has a field, though, do they?
There's one up in Princeton, which is about 30 minutes north of us. But it used to have a good tournament draw. I haven't been up there in years, so I'm really not sure. We kind of, as we got a little bit better with our skills, we had to start traveling. Back in the day when I was playing tournament stuff, we had to start kind of going to St. Louis and Louisville to get better competition. So, but I think what I've heard, there's a couple guys that are on my team that have played up there in the last few years, and it's just mostly, I think, scenario and like rec guys and airsofts, I guess, starting to get pretty big up
Oh,
there
yeah.
too. So, yeah.
Now, do you guys ever go out, and I ask these guys that too? Do you guys ever go out and play scenario ball or rec ball?
I'm not sure about the rest of my guys. I know I kind of brought it up at the tournament this weekend. It'd be pretty fun to like go out because I'll be honest, some of the best times I've ever had was going and playing scenarios. I got a chance to go down to Alabama and play one. It's probably 5 or 6 years ago, and it was actually on a military base, and it was real wild. They bust you into this basically urban training compound that they used, and it was a 2-day event. There's like 350 people there, and I think we were on the terrorist side, but it was like 150 or so of us were in the city, and then the rest of everybody's outside of the city, and it's basically one city block, and it's all buildings that are 5, 6 stories tall. I mean, I had probably one of the best times I've ever had playing paintball when we went down there because it was just awesome. Like you just run into buildings and you're just running down hallways and like kicking doors in and shooting people and running off. And there was basements and sewer systems, and you could cut across the city in these sewer systems. And
Dang.
um, oh, it was. They only did it for like 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years, because my buddy there's a team out of Evansville called Evil Empire. They were a scenario team. I don't know if you ever heard of them before, but
Evil Empire. I've heard a few guys that I've talked to mention the name.
yeah, they were
Um,
pretty big for about 4 or 5 years. And they had played it the year before, and they like told a bunch of us tournament guys in Evansville, like, hey, you guys need to come to this. It's probably not going to happen much more. And we're like, all right. So like three or four of us just went, and it was just I've never had so much fun in the amount of like in the course of 2 days of just hanging out, just casually going around, just playing paintball in this basically urban city. Like it was just wild.
That's awesome. I know that they've
Yeah.
got. I talk to so many people that do this, and so I know that they've got. I think it's Living Legends is coming up, and that's in Chicago or
Hmm.
Joliet, Illinois, and that's
Hmm.
supposed to be a big one. And the big ones that I'm, excuse me, the big ones I'm seeing now, they're advertising for is Normandy up in PA.
Hmm.
That looks like that would be a fun one. I think they say like 3,800 people, and
Yeah.
that's gonna be. I think that's a huge one up there.
Yeah.
So and Sherwood Forest. I don't know if you've ever had the chance to play there, but
No.
that's up in Laporte, and I'm just now getting into the sport. I started last year, and I just started last year and stuff, and so in March here we went to a group of like 10 or 15 of us went up to Sherwood Forest to play, and that was a really good time. And I had never gone anywhere to play other than some friends' houses or
Yeah.
I got a small field out here too that I've been kind of tinkering with and stuff like that. But the guy's got I think he's got like 86 acres, and he's got castles, and he's talking about building pirate ships. So if it's definitely a bucket list field. So if you ever get where you want to check it out, that's definitely one of those scenario games that I would recommend. Just from and they only do it like I said only about 3 times a year. So,
Yeah.
but if you're like I said if you're wanting something or try to get check out scenario again, that would be a good one to try.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, I really, I've got like my team. I want my team to go do something like that just on an off weekend or something because I think that it's just it's something that does a lot of team bonding. And yeah, you can go to dinner and you can all hang out at somebody's house or at a hotel at these tournaments and stuff. But going and doing something like that where it's just a carefree, just good time, everybody gets to have a blast. Like that was one of my experiences with that scenario down in Alabama at that military base. It was just you just hung out, had a great time, and just got done at the end of the day, and you fired up the grill, and that's what I want to take these guys and go do that because a lot of them have never experienced it. That's all like I would say majority of the guys on my team they've never played a bigger, organized, legitimate scenario, and I think that it's something that would open their eyes to like, hey, this is something we can do in the off season, or or just we can get away like almost like a little miniature vacation, just get away from the whole tournament thing and still go and play because I respect the scenario side of I I didn't respect it up until I went and played that one event with my friends from Evansville, and when I did that, I realized like, man, this is like a whole different type of paintball. I
Yeah.
mean, and I that first couple hours playing, I got smoked. Like I thought I was gonna come in there and be, oh, I'm tournament paintball, I'm good, this and that, and the next thing I know, like, man, these guys are sitting in the shadows inside of buildings and they're shooting these lob shots that are coming from 3 stories up across the street, and they're, I'm standing in the window like a goofball, and I'm getting smoked, and it's just like unbelievable how the whole different it takes you almost into like a military style like thinking when you start playing those layouts and stuff, and it was just wild.
The tacticalness to it just cracks me
Oh,
up.
it
It's
changes.
insane.
Yeah, the level is just it's a different type of paintball. It's a different type of game, and I think everybody should experience it. I think everyone should experience everything that you can do with paintball, whether it's out in the woods with some buddies on a weekend or a big scenario or coming and trying a tournament paintball because it's all different. It's the same game, but it's different rules and different formats, and it's so much fun.
We have a guy here in Shelbyville who has we every once in a while we get together, and I think they're actually getting together this weekend. But he goes and plays in this 10-acre woods. It's real thick woods, and it's a I wouldn't say it's a public park, but it's an open area where they go and they play. And then afterwards they go back to his place, and he's got barrels set up. So we do a little bit of speedball. It's nothing like
Yeah,
Doritos and snakes and stuff like that, but
yeah,
it's definitely different though, and it gives you a little taste of mind you a small taste because like I said it's not as elaborate as like I said the Doritos and the snakes and but we get out there and you know try that speedball stuff out, and it's fun. It's intense. I mean, it keeps you moving. It keeps the game flowing because it's usually 3, 5 guys on one team. Vice versa, and it's a good time. It's fast, and
Yeah.
I would love to try the speedball aspect of it, and it would be great to try every aspect of paintball. And I know there's different variations and different things that go into it, and like I do the scenario stuff now and the backyard ball kind of stuff now, but it'd be
Yeah.
great to try the tournament ball, the speed ball type stuff, and even the mag fed stuff. I ran into a few mag fed players before that use first strike stuff, and
Yeah.
those guys are really intense usually because they're
Oh, that's wild. I've seen some videos of that lately, and it's just like
yeah.
it once again, like they've changed the sport a little bit, and like it's gone in a new direction and that stuff. I mean, and the mag fed paintball just looks. I mean, I would love to try it. I mean, it's just looks fun. I mean, it's just
Oh
something.
yeah.
It changes the tactics. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, it's interesting. Is we had a couple MagFed players from Michigan come down to Sherwood here at the last event in March, and they're just running off of clips. And it was like
Yeah.
we're shooting paint like crazy, and they're just
Yeah.
clipping it, and they're just very precise usually about how they're doing stuff, which is
Those are the guys. Those are the guys that you have to pay attention to in close spaces. Like you get inside of a building, or in a close proximity of them. Those are the guys you got to watch because they can pop out and shoot you with one paintball and be gone before you know it.
yep. Or they're shooting
I
from
mean,
across the field. Some of those
yeah,
guys had sniper barrels and you know sights and or scopes on their guns and stuff, and they're clear at the other end, and they're just like, where did that come from? Like where?
yeah,
And then you don't see anybody. That's good stuff though.
that's
So,
awesome.
you wanna plug anything? You wanna promote anything before we wrap stuff up?
I want to say the MSXL is growing and expanding. I think they're having some growing pains right now, which is to be expected. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that um, basically this entire tournament series was within 3 hours of my house. Like all these events, like I would have dreamed of this when I was 15, 16 years old. I never would have thought this would ever would happen. And so I think it's awesome. They're going through some growing pains, which is to be expected. I think the economy is good right now, so paintball's coming back. It's getting very popular again because I think everybody can they got a little extra cash in their pocket, or they can go out and spend some money on these things. And I think everyone in the league just needs to think about the big picture, and it's awesome. They're bringing almost a national tournament experience down to the local level, and they're bringing it down to like local level pricing, and I think it's awesome. And I can't say enough about how well it's ran. It's becoming more professional at every event. It's becoming more organized at every event. The competition's, I think, some of the toughest in probably most of the country for your Division 3, Division 4 guys, and it's awesome. And we've got my team's got a tough road in front of us, but it's to be expected. We're a new team with a lot of random guys from random places, from random backgrounds, and other than that, like it's great. I'm so glad to see paintball coming back bigger than it ever has. I think in 2008 when the economy took a hit. Paintball definitely took a big hit. So it's awesome. It's great to see it coming back, and these podcasts are so cool. I think it's something different. I'm telling you, I've been listening to podcasts left and right now. Anything paintball related. I got about a 30-minute drive every morning to work, and I flip a podcast on, to and from work every day, and listen to them. So
Yeah, I know
uh,
there's a lot out there. I mean, Behind the
yeah,
Bunker does one. I think it's Maritime. Um, is it Maritime? Maritime something, and I think he's out of PA. And then
yeah.
there's Reaper does one out of California. I can't remember. It's slipping my mind what the name of his podcast is, but I know he does one as well. They're all over the place, and they all
Oh
have different styles on how they do them. I know a
yeah.
lot of them are. a little different than how I do mine, but it's all about growing the sport, and everybody seems like they're just really doing it in such a vast way. So, and like I said, you know I love it. It's great. I mean, it can be expensive, but I mean, it's such a great bonding thing. Like, I've got some boys that we got playing last year, and they love to play, and a couple of them kind of got out of it. But my son, he's 13, and he loves it. Like
Yeah.
any chance he gets, if he's not with his mom, or even if he's with his mom, and they're like, oh, what, you played paintball this weekend, or hey, can I play?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I just gotta make sure he's not got stuff going on, but yeah, it's a uh, great outlet, and paintball is such an incredible sport um, to bring a lot of people together. I mean, like we said earlier, it's such a interesting, great community and family environment. So
Yeah. It's just something that I mean, I think, like I said, I've been in and out of it so many times. Excuse me. I've been in and out of it so many times, but it's still like you always come back to it, and it's that same addiction. It's the same experience, and I don't think that as I get older and what I do with my career and my life and my family and all that stuff changes. I think that yeah, I might take another couple year break here or there down the road, but I'll always come back to it. It's just it's too fun not to be involved with it.
it's always interesting when you were talking about people getting out of the getting out of paintball and stuff. You never I have a cousin who when I first started getting into paintball, I'm like, oh, I'm getting into paintball. He's like, oh, I used to play back in high school. I go, oh, do you still play? He goes, oh no, I haven't played in such a long time. I go, oh, would you want to sell me your gun? And he's like, no. So
Yeah.
it's like, no, just in case I might
Yeah.
get back into it. No,
Oh,
I'm good.
yeah, I've got an old gear bag that I won't sell, that I've got all kinds of old stuff in it, but I won't give it up. Like it stays with me. I move from house to house, or yard barn to yard barn, wherever I can keep it, and you get a chance to dust it all off and go play. You do it. So
Yeah. All right, Adam. Appreciate you being on the show. I thank you very much. Hope to talk to you again soon.
yeah,
Check out any MSXL events. I'll try to keep them updated on the Splat Facebook page. Check that out. Like and share the podcast. I should have this up either this weekend or the latest on Monday.
sounds
So,
good.
like I said, thanks for being on the show, Adam. I know it was kind of hit and miss trying to get you, but glad that we got it all worked out.
Yeah, definitely glad it all worked out, and just super excited for this year, and I appreciate for your time just to kind of go over some stuff, and excited for what's about to come the rest of this year.
Yeah, awesome. So, all right, that's it. Thank you so much, man.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.